Hi, welcome to Bot Brack, Box on a Box Rock and Celluloid. I'm over Box. So thought I'd do another album review. Sometimes when I get a whole of albums or when a new album comes out, I like to do a little review. My choice today is the new Treat album, the Endgame. If you checked out the channel, I've got actually a little video running through all the Treat albums. And they're a band I only got into in probably 2010 with the Coup de Grace album. So what happened was Treat were kind of going from about 84, releasing albums from 84 till the early 90s, and like a lot of bands, they, when the market changed, the Seattle sound came in and stuff, they disbanded. They never really got that well known in the UK and have a little more than a cult following in this country and places like the US. But they had a good following in Sweden, obviously, and were kind of seen as the heirs to Europe in a way. They, obviously they did well enough to release the amount of albums they did, but, they just never broke out any further than that. But what typifies the sound is they have hard-hitting guitars, but with a good splash of keyboards, melodic vocals, and an emphasis on cheesy, catchy hair metal choruses, for want of a better expression. So when it came back, the Coup de Grace album, everything had kind of gone up a notch, really. They were able to produce it, I'm imagining, in home studios, and the main writer, Anders Wickstrom, the guitarist, had obviously managed to harness the technology to get great sounds. They just made it a great sounding record. It had 14 tracks on, and it wasn't like, it didn't slip up at all. Some tracks are better than others, but it's one of the best melodic rock albums of this century, really, for people who are into that genre. So after that, they did the Ghosts of Graceland album. There's a long 6-year gap, which was strange. There must have been stuff going on. And I didn't think the album was great, I've got to be honest. I was really excited, it had a great title track. But it just stayed on a kind of flat level. And then, weirdly enough, 2 years later, they did the Tunguska album, I think that's how you pronounce it. And that was a lot better. Not as good as Coup de Grace, but you can't expect bands to put out albums as good as Coup de Grace every time. The Tunguska album's good. So what's this one like? It opens with Freudian Slip. I'm just looking at a track listing here, which is also video. What I will say with this album, some of the titles are cheesy, Freudian Slip's a good title, but it's quite a strange lyric to kind of put in, and Treat do suffer from that. I do really like the track. I've got a few notes here which I took, but it's got a really good riff. I think the first thing you notice about the album is the quality of the production again. Anders Wickstrom always harnesses a really great guitar sound. The drums from Jamie Boyes have loads of punch. Bottom end's big but crisp. Keyboards, when they are there, sitting well, and there was a really good treatment on Robert Erland's vocals. They're kind of like TNT at the best. If you got the My Revelation on by TNT, that kind of sound is what I kind of hear in terms of that kind of expanse that I like. Freudian Slip's really good. It's got a great riff, really good solo. It hits a spot there. I'm just looking. Who wrote it? But next track's Rabbit Hole. So again, Rabbit Hole. It's maybe more of an album title than a track title. They managed to get Rabbit Hole into the chorus. Anyway, not as good this, but it's still good. Still a good riff. Still a good kind of 6 out of 10 track. Could maybe been better if they'd had a kind of, a better 1, 2, 3, 4 punch. Because the next track, Symbiosis, is good. Again, Symbiosis, it's got a symbiosis. It's got 4 syllables, which is a good idea. But the chorus goes, Symbiosis, which I don't really think the title works as a lyric. But the song's, again, tune is better song than Rabbit Hole. It's a good track, it's not a great track. Then you've got Home of the Brave, which was the first single. I should just say all these tracks so far just over 4 minutes. The album's 53 minutes long. Home of the Brave's kind of got a kind of a gallop. When I first heard this track, I was like, yeah, it's all right, but it's really good. Once I got into it, it's got all those hallmarks of Treat. It's a more, obviously released as a single, so it's got that commercial edge. They've just got to write really good hooks, this band. Robert Erland, he's not the best singer. There's better melodic rock vocalists with stronger pipes, and He's got a good range though. But that's the sound of the band. He sounds good, and they always get the best out of him. So this is a really good track, and he got Both Ends Burning, which not as strong as Home of the Brave, but it's another strong track. Got him. I think it's got another like Galloping Grooms. Checking here. Like I've listened to this a few times. I like to listen to it more really before committing to this, but it's just that the problem is, it'll be weeks after the album's come out, and I want to get it out in reasonable time. Then we've got My Parade, which is kind of the catchy sort of ballad song. Treat usually have a slightly drippy power ballad type song on their albums, which are interesting because they usually have like fairly insipid lyrics, but they are catchy. This doesn't actually, a bit different. Yeah, and it's got a kind of na 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 hook on it, which works really well. I know I've just done it. I go na 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 na, but it does work. Coming towards the end of the track, so really good. Then you got Wake Me Up When It's Over. Again, this has got a really catchy hook. The lyrics are better here. Not in the top echelon of tracks on the album, but good. I mean, what I'd say is this album. There's one track coming up where I'm not into it, but it doesn't slip below a certain standard. It's got a good mixture of killer tracks and good filler stuff. Good second string tracks. Then you got Jesus from Hollywood. So this starts with like a nice kind of guitar figure, nice pick figure. Kind of sounds like it might use open strings. From Anders Wickstrom. And it's got a chunky groove. That's one of the little notes to put there. I said the drums and bass sound really good on this album. Maybe better than Tunguska. Yeah, because that was like a strong point of Coup de Grace. But Coup de Grace probably sounds a little more kind of brighter, clicky now because, the technology used, digital technology for home recordings growing all the time. And then there's Magic. This is the weak track for me. It's got a catchy chorus, but, the album doesn't really need this track. It's 4/11. There's 12 tracks on the album, Treat tend to do 11-track albums. Coup de Grace 14 tracks, as I mentioned before, but, they've been away for like, 18 years, something like that. So that's then the next track number 10 is Carolina Reaper. This is this is a single. This is really, really good, and it's got a stunning guitar solo by Anders Wickstrom. So I just mentioned I really rate this guy as a guitar player. He never disappoints. He's got a great tone. He's got a great vibrato. His chops are solid. He's not a massive shredder, but he's very, very good. And he always plays what fits the song, and I think he's a really undiscovered guitar hero. If Treat were a bigger band, he would probably be talked about more in the same way Swedish counterparts are, or Scandinavian counterparts are, like Ronald Tekla, like John Norman, players like that. Like, although he doesn't have the sort of uniqueness of those guys, but he's really good, and this I think is his best solo on this. Then we've got Dark to Light. Again, it's good track. It's not a great track, but it's good. From its 32. It's got a good kind of syncopated riff to it. Chorus is catchy. They don't write bad choruses, Treat. And then finally it finishes with To the End of Love. And this is maybe the best track on the album, or one of the best. So this is really good. The groove on this is excellent. It's got a real mature sound. I think the drums and bass and the kind of scope of the sound really comes out on this track. The vocals are excellent. Brilliant chorus, nice modulation on the bridge, and like just a great hook on the chorus. And it's got a nice ending with kind of speech, I think, by Kennedy, which kind of mirrors the opening instrumental to the Coup de Grace album. So like I said, I've only had like 4 or 5 listens to this album. I'd like to have more, I'd like to have like 7, 8, 10. But I think on the initial listens, it's certainly well worth checking out. I think it's probably about the level of Tunguska. It's better than Ghosts of Graceland for me. I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10. Over time it might go up, it might go down a little bit. Who knows? But it's another like solid release from one of the undiscovered heroes of melodic rock. In another age. When the market wasn't saturated in the 80s, a band like Treat would have been very big if they got lucky. If we lived in different times now, they could have hit singles, but we don't. But they keep, like I say, this is their 4th album since it came back. and I think they'll keep putting them out. So treat the Endgame, check it out. Remember, share and subscribe, Bot Brack, and if you're interested in classic album inspections, head over to my Every Box Guitar Tuition channel. If you go in the channels link on this channel, you'll find a link to that, and you can find some other reviews of my favourite albums. Thanks very much, and hopefully see you soon. Bye now.